your Tuesday evening yin yoga session. My name's Chrissy. I'm going to take you through half an hour of a slow down and yin yoga session today. You don't actually need a mat. You can just maybe have a blanket or a towel on the floor. Just make sure you're not actually on any, sort of hardwood floor. Make sure you've got some nice cozy clothes on. We're not going to be building heat today, so really think about layering up, having some nice cozy socks on, and you're going to want a few props. So you ideally will want something that looks a little bit like this. So this is a yoga block. You don't need a yoga block. You can use a big thick book, so encyclopedia, recipe book, something like that. You can also use maybe a water bottle or something like that if we're doing anything where you just need to pop your hand on there, but obviously you're not going to be able to sit on a water bottle, so you might need a cushion as well for that. You will need cushions for other things as well, so I would get about 3 or 4 cushions. If you're lucky enough to have a bolster, the bolster is this, then that's great. You can just use a bolster, but otherwise you want about 3 to 4 cushions or pillows for the class. If you begin to feel unwell during the class today, please stop, please get some medical help for that. Likewise, if anything, yin is about staying in the postures a really long time, sometimes 3 to 5 minutes, and if you are in absolute agonizing pain, that is not going to be good for the body, it's not going to be good for your mind. So just listen to what your body needs, ease out of it when you feel like it. So we're going to start in our first yin posture, Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall wide apart, and then we're going to come to lie down on our backs. You've got a few options here. This is perfect if you want to just be here, maybe one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, maybe hands come out to the side. If this is too intense on your hips and you don't have cushions to prop your knees up, you can also walk your feet to the outer edges of the mat and let the knees roll in. If you like more of a heart opener this evening, so if you've been, sat at a computer all day and you feel like actually I want a little bit of an opening here in the front of the body, bring some props behind you, so some cushions or a rolled up blanket, and you can actually lie back onto your prop. And so you're just getting this lovely opening here, all at the front of the body. And then what you can do is you can either keep your hands, one hand heart, one hand to belly, or you can bring your arms overhead and let them hang here. Now this can feel really intense, so if it doesn't feel right for you today, don't do it, that's fine. You can maybe even just bring your hands behind the head, so you're kind of feeling that nice opening, but it's not too intense. And you can of course do this as well with your knees rolled in. You can do it with your legs straight as well. Wherever you are, just begin to notice the breath, begin to focus on the breathing. So in through the nose and out through the nose. You can keep your eyes closed the whole class today if you like. That's going to help you not bring any sort of external things into your vision that are going to make your mind wander. But if you don't find that comfortable, you can just maybe have a little soft gaze. So just starting to draw away from the senses, starting to close the eyes a little bit, but not fully, just so you can see a little bit. And I'm noticing this pose, how the breath feels along the body. So if you've got something underneath the shoulders, then you might feel like you have to breathe a little bit deeper to fill the chest. You can maybe think about the ribs expanding, the side of the body expanding, maybe the back pushing into the floor, lifting, everything expanding, and then everything softening as you exhale. And we want a nice soft breath today for yin, so really gentle in through the nose, out through the nose. So in our power classes we tend to have this sort of heat building in through the nose, out through the nose, but we're not doing that here. We're just keeping it really nice and light. And the breath is really intelligent, so if you begin to notice the breath getting shallow or getting quick, that is normally a sign that the body just wants you to back off a little bit. So it's not a bad thing, it just means that the body goes, I don't want to do this today, this isn't what I'm feeling, I feel like I want to be a bit more chilled, I want to move out of this. And it's just up to you to listen to that voice, you know. So it's not going to come from me, it's not going to come from any external source, it's really about you going, you know what, my body doesn't want this today, my body just wants to roll onto the side and have a nap, and that's fine. So really listen to the breath. The breath is very intelligent. The breath knows what the body needs. When you're ready, if you have your hands overhead, you might just want to bring them down, just maybe give them a little bit of a circle round, just make sure you've got some blood flowing in the arms. When you're ready, you can bring your hands to the outside of your knees, gently ease your knees in towards your midline, and then very gently, if you are on a prop especially, very gently, you're going to roll over onto your left hand side, your yin side, your feminine side, the moon side. You can roll your props away and you can just stay in this side position here. So just maybe having a little cushion with the hand for the head. Breathing here, noticing how that pose felt on the body. And the feminine quality of yin and the moon side, it's not, it's not kind of the bog standard, or it's girly, it's anything like that. It's just we do have these two emotional sides of the brain, and we're just tapping into that more gentle, calming side by rolling onto our left. That's the place that we're compressing there. And after every yin pose, we take a reset position. So the position you're in now could be a reset position. And when we do the other ones, I'm not going to guide you into that. I'm going to just ask you to move where you want to move. So you might just lie back on your back in Shavasana. You might come to a child's pose. You might just sit up nice and tall and close down the eyes. There's no right or wrong in the poses. It's just about what the body needs, what the body is telling you to do, what it's calling for you to do. And when you're ready, begin to roll up. We're going to come into our second yin pose of the session. So this is where you're definitely going to want either a good couple of cushions or a block or a few books. We're going to come into a yogi squat malasana. Now we're not kind of looking to be in this. You can just kind of get into your squat and you can stay there, but we're going to be here for a minute or so. So what I'd suggest is putting something under the sit bones so that you can quite comfortably, and don't worry if your heels aren't down. If your heels are off, that's fine. You can always prop those with cushions or blankets. But make sure that you can lengthen the spine here. So you can push the elbows in towards the knees, but you're really looking for that length in the spine. So if you're sort of back around here, it might be that you need another block or another book, another cushion. On top of that, it's just going to lift your hips a little bit higher, and it's going to make it a lot more comfortable for you. So this is a really nice option to take. If you don't feel like this is an option at all, and it's just unbearably painful, you can come onto your back and come into happy baby. So bringing the knees into the chest, opening the knees away from each other, keeping the feet flexed. And then you're basically in your squat position here, you're just upside down. So we're going to be here for 2 minutes. So if the heels don't reach the floor, you can, as I said, maybe put some rolled up blankets underneath them. And if it feels very painful still to lift the spine, you do have the option of rounding down into the spine instead. And that can feel quite nice on the shoulders here, but the purpose of this pose is to do it to open up the hips a little bit, which is why I'm asking you to push the chest forward, because that will open the hips a little bit more. It's a really good time to check in with your breath. Is your breath speeding up? Do you need to ease out of this? Do you need to put, another cushion underneath you? Do you maybe need to lie back in happy baby? And you can change halfway, it's fine. You don't have to, you can maybe try best of both worlds if you like. You've got just under a minute left here. You might feel a little bit of a build-up of energy, maybe frustration, maybe discomfort. And when that happens, just breathe deeper, just breathe into that place of discomfort, breathe into the hips, visualize that breath moving into the hips. Take one more big deep breath wherever you are. And then very slowly begin to ease out of this pose and come into your reset position. So maybe just take that prop from underneath you. You can come to wherever you like. You can maybe just sit back into a kneeling meditation. Maybe the palms face up. Nice long spine. The idea of this reset pose is that it just allows your body to obviously release the pose properly, and it also allows you to feel how the body feels after it's been in the pose. So sometimes when we're in the pose, we're focused so much on the discomfort and we're focused on like, oh, I just want this to be finished, that we don't realise what it's doing to the body. And then when we come out of the pose and we just kind of lie in a nice comfortable position, we're like, oh, that feels quite nice, my hips feel a bit more open maybe, or maybe an emotion came up in you, and it's just that place where you can notice a little bit. Okay, and when you're ready, sitting up, so if you're kind of here, you're ready to go. We're going to come to our next yin pose. This is going to be a shorter pose. We're only going to be here for a minute, and I'm sure you will realise why in a second. So what I want you to do is move forward, tuck the toes under, and then sit back onto the toes. Now, I'm going to start the timer for a minute, because this can be intense. If this feels super intense already, get a few cushions or your block, your book, and press the knees onto your prop, and that's just going to alleviate a little bit of the tension in the back of the toes. If it still feels really, really intense, you can always just begin to come out of it and then come back in when you're ready. You're almost halfway through. So I'll share with you something I shared in my other class earlier this evening. The mighty oak was once a little nut that stood its ground. The mighty oak was once a little nut that stood its ground. We've got 10 seconds left to go. Keep breathing, breathing into the feet, breathing into the discomfort. Take one more big breath here. Don't rush to come out of it. And then when you're ready, move forwards, remove any props, and then come forward into a tabletop position. Just very gently tap the toes out behind you just to get a little bit of blood flowing back into the feet. Lovely. Okay, and then when we're ready, we're going to swivel round onto our bums, come straight into our next yin pose, because that was only a little mini pose there. We're going to sit up onto our sit bones. Now you might want to remove the fleshy parts of the bum from underneath so you really feel the sit bones grounding into the floor. Sometimes it really helps to have a cushion underneath or even a block. So if you're quite rounded here, really useful to sit on a cushion. You just get loads more length and space in the hips. So we're going to come into a Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So you're going to come forward, you've got a few options here. You can either take a nice bend in the knees and sort of just bring the chest over, or you can keep the legs a little bit more straight and just kind of round forward in the chest. So we're going to be here for 3 minutes. And what you can do is you can either maybe bring some cushions or rolled up blankets underneath the legs, and then you can just ease around onto it. That feels super comfy for me. Feels really nice and relaxing all down my spine. Or if you want to keep the legs more straight, you could do something like this if you have a bolster. Or you can begin to make a little fort. So I like making a little fort. So you just bring all the stuff you've got around you and you just basically stack it up in front of you, and then you can just rest. You can kind of play around with it. I'm going to start the timer for 3 minutes. So you can really sort of just feel what feels good for you. So maybe you put an extra block there. That feels nice for me there. If you've got your neck twisted, I'll tell you when it's halfway and turn your neck to the other side just so it doesn't get too tense there. And if you feel like you've had a long day and you're just like, oh my goodness, I just feel really strained here, just bend the knees, you know, it's only Tuesday. We don't want to be stressing ourselves out on a Tuesday, and this feels really lovely here. So just having that lovely cascading of the spine over, and you're still getting into the hamstrings a little bit here as well. Think about your breathing, nice, slow breaths. And the reason that we hold these poses for so long in yin is because when we do these stretches after, say, a circuits class or a HIIT class, which, you know, we have to do, it's really important, we only hold them for about 20 seconds and we end up going quite deep because of that. We're like, oh, we're only going to hold it for 20 seconds, let's really, really go for it. And the body has this sort of like rebound system where it tries to protect the muscles in the body because it doesn't want them to tear. So if it feels like you're going a bit too far, it will just stop you. It will kind of let you bounce back. We're halfway, by the way, if you want to turn your neck the other way. So in yin, we really relax into the poses. We don't go the deepest we can go. We kind of come a little bit away from that, because with the breath and with the relaxed position that the body's in, we will just naturally begin to go deeper without that tension. So some of that tension will just melt away from the body. So rather than us trying to fight and really sort of being like, oh, I really need to get forward, I really need to stretch, you know, we're just relaxing everything down, we're letting go, we're breathing nice and slowly. We're just letting the body do the work for us. You've got less than a minute left here. Okay, and when you're ready, very gently begin to ease out of the pose, rolling up, coming to find your next reset position. So maybe moving the props out of the way, maybe just lying straight back into your Shavasana. That can feel quite nice on the back, just letting everything relax down. Maybe sitting up nice and tall. Notice what you can notice. feel any changes in the body. When you're ready, very gently begin to ease out of your resting pose. But if you are lying on your back, then you're very welcome to stay there, because that's where we're going to go next. So we're going to come into a pose called Twisted Roots. So it's a supine twist. You've got an option though, you don't have to do the Twisted Roots version. So what we're going to do first is shift the hips to the left, and then the knees are going to go to the right. You're going to hook the left leg over the right, and then you're going to let the legs fall towards the right hand side. Now that can feel quite intense. So what you could do, which is really nice, is place some cushions to the side, and then what that will do is that will just catch the fall from the legs there, and that feels super comfortable for me, so it might feel quite nice for you. You can cactus the arms if you don't have room, or you can straighten them out to the side if you do. If it still feels too much, you can just bring the legs next to each other here, so you don't need to do the twist. You're going to be here for 2 minutes. And this is a nice place to close your eyes if they're not already closed. Thinking about that nice soft breathing. You've got a minute left in this pose. Maybe notice any emotions that are coming up, any feelings. It's not, there's nothing good or bad. It's not about, oh, I feel a bit angry or frustrated, that's really bad. It's not. It's just information. Being with our thoughts for a sustained amount of time with quietness, being in a position for, slowing down, it can really bring up a lot of feelings in us, because we're not, as a Western society, we're not used to that. So just breathe into that, embrace it, just notice what you can notice. That's all it's about, just noticing, just having that awareness, and whenever you can, coming back to the breath. When you're ready, very slowly ease out of the pose and come to find a little reset position. So maybe you just stay on your back, maybe in Shavasana, maybe you bring the knees into the chest. Not going to be here for that long. When you're ready, shift the hips over to the right this time. Bring the right leg over the left, and then begin to let the legs fall towards the left hand side, perhaps using your props underneath to catch the fall of the knee. Make that twist a little bit more gentle. You've always got the option to unravel the legs, keep them next to each other. And then you can either cactus the arms or you can take them out to the side, maybe taking the gaze away from the knees. We're going to be here for 2 minutes once more. And it's okay if the pose feels a bit intense. You know, there's a difference between intense and, oh my goodness, this is really painful. You know, obviously that kind of pose you want to ease out of straight away. But if it does feel quite deep, but you feel like you're breathing deeply and you still feel like everything's flowing, everything's moving, there's no reason why you can't be in that slightly deeper position. It's just about honouring what the body needs today, you know, because today it might feel really good to go a little bit deeper, really deep in those twists, you know, wringing out the spine. And other days you just might feel a bit more fragile and you just might feel like, actually, I just need to be a bit more gentle. And this is what's so good about yin yoga and yoga in general, is it gets us out of our minds and into our bodies and allows us to go, right, what do I need? You know, instead of thinking about what does society want me to do, I need to perform, I need to be the best at this. It's just about going, what do I need? What do I need right now? Got less than a minute left. And when you're ready, very gently, very slowly, ease out of the pose. We're coming into our final resting pose now, Shavasana. So everything's just falling out onto the mat. You can remove all your props, take up lots of space. You know, we're not in a crowded studio, we're in our house, so just take up more room if you like. If you have any lower back pain, what can feel really nice is placing a bolster or some cushions, a rolled up blanket underneath the knees. Make sure the feet can still touch the floor. Let them open out to the side. And that just takes a little bit of weight off the lower back there. So that can be really nice. You could get a little pillow for the head here. You could maybe get an eye pillow to cover the eyes, turn off the lights. There's nothing to do. And there's nothing to manage. I will bring you out of your Shavasana in a couple of minutes. So please don't worry that I'm going to leave you here. I'm not. I am fully with you. I'm completely with you. And of course, if you want to stay longer, you can just ignore me when I bring everyone up. You can stay for as long as you like. The mighty oak was once a little nut that stood its ground. As I said, you can stay in your Shavasana for longer if you have the time, if you'd like to finish the class with me. And begin to take some deeper inhales and exhales, and begin to bring some movement into the body, into the fingers, the toes. And then roll over onto your right side, into your fetal position when you're ready. So engaging in that yang energy, that masculine energy, the sun energy, just bringing ourselves back to our body. And then when you're ready, bring yourself up to an easy seated position wherever you like. Can be on a chair, the sofa, can be with the legs out straight, just nice long spine. And then when you're ready, bring your hands to heart center and symbolically bow your head down towards your heart. Take this opportunity to thank yourself for the work you've put in today, for taking the time for yourself. And thank you for allowing me to teach you today. Sending you lots of love and light. Thank you, yogis.